That's right, man. Y'all know what that sound means. We are here. We are back once again. JV Wiz Dogon SS here for another edition of the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Major shouts out to everybody hitting that subscribe button, hitting that like button, leaving comments in those videos, man. We certainly appreciate you. As we continue to kick this logical content, we keep things rocking and rolling. Have a strong series of interesting topics to talk about tonight, as we always do. So, no different from any other week. We are going to go ahead and get right into it, man. First up, we are going to talk about comments made by one of America's finest, Mr. Denzel Washington, preeminent black actor of our generation, some would say. But he's doing some press right now talking about the Gladiator movie, the new Gladiator movie coming out that he's in, Gladiator 2. And he was, doing an interview with, who was he doing this interview with? He was doing an interview with some publication, Variety or Empire. I think, no, not Empire. He was doing an interview with some publication, but they got onto the subject of talking about politics. And Denzel Washington essentially was saying, hey, listen, we have a responsibility as people to hold everybody's feet to the fire to do their job. And if you think that one side is better than the other, you're fooling yourselves, because all sides are manipulating all of us. So it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you happen to sit on. The narratives and the talking points and the content creation factory is manipulating us on all fronts, not just one over the other. So Denzel Washington unmuted in that regard here. This says, Denzel Washington says, people better realize you're being manipulated by both political sides. Denzel Washington is sharing his thoughts on the current political landscape in the United States. The two-time Oscar-winning actor who stars in Ridley Scott's upcoming Gladiator 2 was recently asked about the 2024 presidential election, which saw Donald Trump defeat Kamala Harris earlier this month. During his interview with the Sunday Times, so that's who it was with, the Sunday Times, editor Jonathan Dean also noted a specific line in Gladiator 2 that felt timely given the election. Empires fall, so do emperors. It's so easy to stand outside America and say this and that, Washington 69 said in response. Turn around, pick a country, any one. But listen, it's all politics, all promises unkept. And now with the information age the way it is, if anything, left, right, whatever, had better learn how to use those tools to manipulate the people. There was a great line in the first movie I did, which was called Carbon Copy, power to the people. Yeah, they had it once. It was called the Stone Age. We're all slaves to information now. We really are. We're all slaves. So whatever you feel about the leaders, like this guy's crazy or other one is sane, you'd better realize you're being manipulated by both sides, period. So go to the movies. The Equalizer 3 star has previously been open about urging people to open our eyes and hold elected officials in office accountable. I think we as Americans need to unite and hold all of our elected officials' feet to the fire as it relates to working together. We need to demand that they work together through our vote, that they work together to come up with solutions. Elsewhere during his interview with the Sunday Times, Washington also looked back at his career, admitting that not all of his movies were hits. So that pretty much concluded the political aspect of that particular conversation. So, he did this interview and it got a couple people talking about this. He's basically saying don't be manipulated because it's all manipulative tactics and all sides are trying to convince you of certain things, but they aren't necessarily being A1. And he's basically saying hold everybody accountable because you're all being manipulated. I wish I could have gotten some video of this, but really couldn't find any in time. And I found other pieces of this interview, but not them talking about the political stuff. So we'll just have to suffice with the written portion here. But yeah, that's what Mr. Denzel had to say there about politics. We've discussed issues similar to this on this channel in the past. So I don't think I've ever heard Denzel speak on this front before. But be that as it may, sure you have some thoughts on what Mr. Washington there had to say. So the floor is yours.
Well, first of all, it sounds like Denzel Washington watches the conscious approach. So
Hey,
shout out to Denzel for being a loyal viewer. Because honestly, I feel like that's what we've been saying for the past, I don't know how long, especially in this past cycle, where it just was completely off the rails. So um I mean, I agree with them. And if you want to look at politics in a particular way, I know the way that I look at it is no different than WWE, where you would see The Rock and the Undertaker go at it, or whatever. But there's this respect behind closed doors. They go out and have a beer afterwards, and the theater that they put on in front of everybody is just that. It's just theater. And so uh, if we allow them to continue to play these characters and everybody continues to buy into this, then the manipulation that Denzel Washington alluded to will continue. It's not only until we go, hey, The Rock, hey, The Undertaker, look, we know you guys are putting on an act right now. I'm gonna need you to actually do something instead of just, you know, playing into a role. So this, Donald Trump has been playing the heel this entire time. He's been intentionally, getting the crowd all riled up, getting everybody upset, having guest speakers that gets everybody upset. And it's just good cop, bad cop, all over the place, and it's all a game. So I think people just need to be politically aware, politically conscious, and start to actually dig into what these people are doing after all of these horse and pony shows that are their campaigns. And last thing I'll say before I let you go, when he also mentioned that, hey man, we're all slaves, and that's also something that we would talk about here. Now, we're not talking about enslavement, okay? We're not talking about whips and chains, but we're definitely slaves to a system, because, well, we all go to work at places that we don't want to be at, and we would rather be somewhere else while we're trying to do all this stuff to make a paycheck. And we're getting taxed all over the place, whether it's your grocery store, your gas station, your home, your car insurance, to make sure that you don't get up out of there and get financial freedom. So there's all kinds of rigmarole going on. And you got to make sure that the people that you are invested in politically have your best interests at heart and not keeping you in that wheel of perpetual servitude. So shouts out to Denzel. I agree with everything he said there. And again, shouts out to him to being a loyal viewer of the conscious approach and having a conscious mind of his own. But what are your thoughts, sir, on Sir Denzel weighing in, saying that, hey, man, you got to hold their feet to the fire, whether it's the right or the left? What are your thoughts, bro?
I agree 100%. And yeah, like you, I will also echo that this is right in line with what we've been talking about for forever on this channel, at least when we bring up any political topics. That is absolutely the case. And Denzel isn't the first individual in the public eye that we have used as case studies to broach this kind of topic. Not too long ago, we broached a topic with Ice Cube, where he basically had to get on social media and defend himself against people who assumed that he was a Trump supporter merely because he has said certain things in the past in support of conservatism. And, people took that to heart and felt as though he was being a conservative leaning person, which, of course, publicly you cannot do. And so he had to get on social media and basically say, I'm not for any candidate in particular. I think that collaboration is the way that you see results. But right now, what we have is a fisticuffs in which you pick a side, you dig your hole in the sand, and you don't stick your head out of that hole until your person wins. And I'm not for any of these clowns. The word clown was the word that he specifically used to describe either side, saying, I am all for what makes sense and I am all about collaboration because not one particular side has the answer over the other. He was right, and Denzel Washington is also right here. And it's performance theater, as you alluded to. That's exactly what westernized, particularly American politics, has become. And it's been effective. It's worked because it sucked the majority of the population in. And the unfortunate part is the individual can understand this. So if you talk to a single individual one on one to try and get to the meat of why the truth is somewhere in the middle and why we don't have to deal in absolutes, y'all can come to a common ground and everybody can understand that that is a sensible approach to take when trying to dissect how to approach participating in the political process. But if you get people together, it degenerates into a shouting match, and everyone's just throwing feces at one another because the conversation will be derailed due to one little thing that some person may say that a person doesn't disagree with. And now you're not disagreeing with the central point, you're disagreeing with that one thing that that person said that you don't like. And so when it comes to the internet and social media, that's how things devolve into shouting matches. And now we're engaging in these fear mongering tactics, talking about how because you support this one person, it means you're in support of this grand ideal that's going to run everybody into the ground. And the truth is far more nuanced than that. It's definitely never black and white, it's always gray. So Denzel is absolutely right. He sounds like someone who is unplugged, freed from the matrix. And I agree. Politics has become performance theater. And when he says that we're all slaves to information, that's the kind of enslavement that he is referring to. It's an enslavement of the mind. And in my opinion, I think he is directly referring to the post-truth society that we live in. Post-truth essentially meaning I can give you facts, data, and statistics. But to you, someone who believes what you believe, my facts are irrelevant. So for you, because you believe something, if I give you facts and data and statistics suggesting that your belief is a fallacy, you will then counter by saying, well, my facts are inherent, that my facts are in and of themselves made up, a lie, or a conspiracy, or a red herring, because everyone believes what they want to believe. So much so that facts no longer mean anything; they become irrelevant. That they've coined the term post-truth as a way to describe that. Post-truth meaning that even facts are no longer real. So if I believe one particular thing and you come to me and you say, hey man, I know you believe this, but here's the data and the history and the facts and the stats behind how what you're saying isn't necessarily correct, I'm going to then counter by saying, well, your facts are made up and they're not real. And it becomes all the more convenient to dig your hole in that sand when you live in an echo chamber of your own beliefs being reinforced constantly through your various channels wherever you receive your information, real or imagined. And that can be on the internet, that can be via your favorite podcaster, whatever the case may be. But this kind of dynamic has fueled the perpetuation of the post-truth society, which fuels people's unwillingness to concede that they don't necessarily have it all figured out, because they just want to believe that their ideological stance is better than the other. And no one really invests time in trying to make it clear that we all have points that make particular sense. We'd rather just say, my job is to convince you that your side is incorrect. And it really has at this point become an enslavement of the mind as a result of this dynamic taking firm hold. So I hear what he's saying. I agree 100%. I think it's rooted in us being post truth. It's unfortunate, but you know, uh, I think this is where we are, bro. Honestly, that's why I feel like these machines will continue to persist and be proven effective because it works on the collective mindset, which sets forth that I'm going to dig my hole in this particular ideological sand and I'm going to die on that hill, and there's nothing that you can do about it. Meanwhile, the allegiances that you have pledged to take advantage of that. And they take advantage of the channels of information. They take advantage of the echo chambers that you live in, and they bang the gavel on it as much as possible and as hard as they can, so that you can continue to stay stuck in this perpetual loop. And I just think that this is where we are. So I hear what he's saying. I think he's right. We're all being manipulated and controlled to a certain degree by all sides, not just one over the other. But when you believe that you're on the side of righteousness, in your mind, there's not necessarily anything wrong with that.
Yeah, man, it's scary out there, bro. This past cycle, it was very concerning of how many people um, believe this stuff. Uh, Extremists on both ends, as I mentioned, leading up to the damn event, and then after it, the extremists on both ends were, just showing their asses. And man, the level of conditioning that the masses has, to me, it's on one hand of it, it's funny. That's like, damn, I feel sorry for you that you think that way. And then the other side of it is like, damn, these people are everywhere. I mean, they're in traffic with me. They're at the grocery store. I mean, these people are concerning. And the best way that I can say how you can get rid of these mental shackles is to play the opposite game. Because right now we're living in a bizarro world, upside down universe. And the only thing you have to do is whatever they say, it's probably the opposite. Upwards to 90% of everything. And you can just go down the list. It's quite entertaining. And if you're watching something on TV and they're promoting something, it's probably the opposite. If there's movies out there, propaganda, or something out there, and they're promoting a certain agenda, it's probably the opposite. That's the opposite is probably what you should be doing. And so this goes with things that they teach in schools, because this is crazy. And we'll cover a topic later about teaching and learning and stuff, but just the cognitive dissonance that some people experience from learning the true history of what happened with Columbus, because you were taught and conditioned a certain way of thinking about how that whole event went, and then when you actually found out the real history, you go, "Oh, it wasn't close to that at all." And there's a lot of that going on when it comes to history, sciences right now, uh, and political things, uh, certain economic ways of looking at things. Everything is in a bizarro matrix. And so to go with the status quo, to go what CNN is saying, you might need to flip that. And on the other side of the spectrum is whatever Fox is promoting or whatever, that's probably not it either. So you go, okay, well, how can both sides be wrong? Well, both sides are trying to get you to believe in either side, is my point. And maybe the answer is neither one of these sides. But that's too much for people, because then it's like, okay, well, where do I go from here? Because my whole life I've been hearing either I'm left or I'm right, you know. And as you said, man, the truth is somewhere in the middle. And why can't we have something in the middle? Why isn't that an option? Why are we giving one extreme or the other? But again, this is the reality that they've created for most people out here to believe in. So Yeah, so just do yourself a favor, man. When you're watching something on TV, if there's something on TV that you watching a movie or TV show, oh, here it goes again. They're promoting this again. It's probably the opposite. The opposite is probably what needs to be going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a good way of flipping this thing and going, hey, why are they? Because honestly, if these people are out here promoting this stuff, it's probably not good for you. So that's also a good way of flipping this stuff on his axis and going, and then when you actually encounter people who watch all of this stuff, digest it, and believe it all, they sound like the mindless drones that are concerning. And the reason why they sound concerning to you and all this other stuff is because they actually believe that crap. That was, the lies, and now they've got purple hair and, they're doing crazy stuff in the streets. They're being extremists. They'll set up their phone, hit record, start screaming and hollering, put the camera down, edit the video, write a caption, and then upload it to the internet for everybody to see. Is that not madness? But these are the people. They're under a form of control, mind control. So yes, Denzel has a point here, man. Not all forms of slavery is physical, and buying into these systems that we've been lied to about. That they're the ones that keep this cycle going. So then you go, okay, well, what's the alternative? Well, this is our responsibility to change the trajectory of history and not go with the path that was provided to us by the opposite stuff. So hopefully, me speaking in code, that made some sense to you all. Okay, because it's only some way you got to say it indirectly. But hopefully, you guys was picking up what I was putting down.
Yeah. What makes what he said so paramount, and I'm going to use your Columbus analogy as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not an analogy, but use your Columbus example as my example.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why psychological manipulation has become such an effective political tactic and why it works no matter what hole you're dug in, whether you're left, right, conservative, liberal, whatever, it doesn't matter. The tactic itself is extremely effective. And the political apparatus knows this. And the reason why it's so effective is because of the fact that we are post-truth. So, meaning, say somebody grew up being taught that Christopher Columbus was this wonderful dude who discovered America and did all of the stuff that we learned about in elementary school. And you believe that in your heart. You believe this. Now, me being someone who knows that that is not the truth, I can come to you with factual evidence.
Right.
Giving you the true history, right? Now, because you refuse to believe that, because you want to believe what you believe about Columbus, you are going to retort by telling me that my facts are lies.
Correct.
Made up by the other side to keep everybody in the dark about the truth. So that's what's going on both sides. Everyone is doing it. So
Right.
if I bring you factual evidence saying, hey, that's not correct, this is the real, you're going to say, oh, those are all lies. That's what they want you to believe.
Right.
And when you have that going on all over the place, the politicians know that. So these performance actors can lean into that by saying, don't believe what they want you to believe.
Right.
They want you to think this. They want you to think that. So this is really what it is.
Right.
Vote for me. Listen to me. Listen to our side. Don't allow yourself to be bamboozled into the notion that everything that you thought your entire upbringing is actually incorrect.
Correct.
And I'm not saying that one. I'm saying everything does that. The DNC does it. The RNC does it. Liberals do it. Conservatives do it. Everyone's doing that, and it allows you to stay fully entrenched in your echo chambers, and it allows you to refuse to be dug out of your hole. You can just, and they lean into it. So that's the manipulation that's taking place. Is I'm going to create an environment in which it makes it easier for me to make these people not want to be dug out of their holes.
Yes.
And that environment persists, and it's a very effective manipulative tactic. That's what's going on. Schools, economics, education, all over the place. It's here's the data. You can't fake data in math and science. You can't. Those are all universal truths. But in this era of post truth, especially when it comes to politics, we're now even trying to turn truth into a lie. And that's the scary part. Because at that point, when math and data and facts and statistics and history now become a conspiracy and a lie and a matter of tinfoil, that even now we want to refute the stuff that we know to be true mathematically, where do you go from there?
Hmm.
And everybody wants to, and everybody's doing this now because we want to stay in these echo chambers because we have to continue to believe that we are on the side of righteousness.
Yep.
And everyone leans into it. So everything he's saying is true, man. I just hope that at some point people listen because you have to hold people accountable for doing their jobs. And right now, these people aren't doing their jobs, they are performing.
Right.
They are performance theater actors, and they're
Correct.
getting away with it because
Yep.
as long as they parrot the speech that you care to hear, as long as they parrot the speech that you want to hear, that you care about, accountability is a secondary function. Just give me the speech that I want parroted to me. It's what various groups have been doing for 50, 60 years when it comes to the DNC, and it's what all of these ultra crazy conservative, extreme conservative people are doing with the right stuff. It's happening everywhere.
Yep.
So one side thinks that they're righteous enough that their zealotry is okay because they're right, and the other side also thinks that their zealotry and their dogmatism is okay because they're on the side of righteousness. And when you got that going on, no one is listening to anything, and the people who are in charge to do a job get away with not doing their job.
Yep. Yeah, man. And it's crazy. Last thing I'll say, again, to speak on the Columbus thing. So that's like, there's a journal, by the way. He wrote journals. Columbus wrote journals. So do yourselves a favor and YouTube it. YouTube Columbus's accounts, whatever he was talking about in his journals. You'll be astonished of some of the madness that this man would say. And it's nothing like what we learned in school, which was provided to us by the state, the same state that's telling us to go either one side or the other. And then people grow up thinking one side or the other, believing that Columbus brought us all over here on the Mayflower. And then when we're sitting here listening to these rallies and these political speeches and stuff, they're saying, and Columbus brought us over here on the Mayflower. And everybody's like, yeah, the Mayflower. You know what I'm saying? And we broke bread with the Native Americans. We broke bread with them. And then I'll talk to somebody in the street. Hey, man, how's it going? And they're going, we all came here on the Mayflower. We were breaking bread. And I was like, damn, hey, you do know that Columbus had a journal, right? You could go listen to what he had to say for it. No, you're crazy. That's tinfoil stuff. No, that's crazy. That's crazy talk. And it's like, damn. He's like, my favorite politician told me that we came here on the Mayflower. Damn it. And it's like, oh man, you're out of your damn mind. So no wonder you're sitting there pressing record, hollering and screaming, editing it, writing captions, and then uploading it to the internet because you actually believe we all came here on the Mayflower. So yeah, man. So just look at it that way. I look at it. A lot of people are talking like that. So, at least here on this channel, man, we don't profess to have all the answers. But, as we always try to get out there, man, is think for yourselves. And a good way of finding out how to think for yourself is doing some research on your own, man. There's plenty of history out there, guys. And it's as cliche as it sounds, man. But if you don't know your history, man, you're doomed to repeat it. And that means because the people out here that's playing games on y'all, they know that y'all don't know the history of the game. Because if they're trying to run the same play over and over again, you go, oh, well, it's always been this way, hasn't it? And it's like, no, it hasn't. It's been like that since you was growing up. But one thing you have to realize is that you're in a game. You're playing a game. And so this game wasn't always here. And so do some research, man, on anything, whatever your favorite topic is. Dig a little deeper in there, try to find out the origins of things. And I'm telling you, it's going to unravel a whole bunch of other stuff, because everything's interconnected in a very big web. One thing will lead you to that thing, the other thing will lead you to another. But yeah, know you guys' history out there, whatever your interest is, go dig up in it. And then somehow, some way, it'll lead right back to this conversation, because it always does.
Yeah. And just understand that if you're reading something that is a fact or that is truly of the historical record and it is counter to what you've always believed, don't be averse to it. Just accept it. Just accept it. Sometimes the truth is the truth. Just accept it. And not everything is made up in a lie the way you are being, the way it's being dictated to you that it is. So there is a such thing as truth out there still, people. Even if it goes against what you've always believed, just believe in the truth at the end of the day. So, shouts out to Denzel, man. First time that he has been a subject on the channel, I believe, and I would guess that it won't be the last.
Yeah, man. Shouts out. Loyal subscriber, Denzel Washington. How about it?